Where's my mouse? Hi, welcome. It's Monday. It's Monday, and did you know that you hate yourself? Hi, I'm Rev Andrew Bozeman, and this is On the Wings of Your Mind. Now, I took the Thanksgiving holiday off, so I haven't been online for several days. So let's get back to the subject we were talking about last week. I was talking about the fact that many of us, most of us, have some deep-seated judgment against ourselves. It's often referred to as self-hate. Of course, most of us would deny that we hate ourselves. I mean, it's pretty outrageous to think that you might hate yourself. Most of us claim to like ourselves, except for some part of ourselves. I guess I was in a black screen there for a few minutes. Anyway, so I was talking about self-hate. Now, most of us would deny that we hate ourselves. There are parts of ourselves we don't like, maybe one or two parts of ourselves that we hate. Even though we'd love to deny it, if we take a good look at our lives, we can spot the fact that we are dissatisfied with ourselves and we're dissatisfied with the way we're living. Now, as humans, we have a tendency to look at the negative before we can see the positive. So when we look back on our lives, we initially see the mistakes we've made, the opportunities we've missed, the missteps we've experienced, instead of seeing the positive things that we've done in our lives, the accomplishments we've achieved, the progress that we've made in whatever areas that we're working on. But it's all part of the obstacle course that we call life. And there are always things that we can find to regret. But with all the things that we can find to regret, there are always things that we can choose to forgive. And forgiveness is key. Oh, no. Most importantly, it is that you should forgive yourself. Please click on the thumbs up button. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe. You know, I'd love to hear your thoughts and comments. So please choose to use the chat box in the comment section below. As some of you know, I've been studying As some of you know, I've been studying the teachings of Caroline Myss. Now, Caroline is a very, very smart lady, and she has done a lot of work in terms of power and archetypes and the spiritual journey. So I find her very interesting, very insightful, and very, very powerful in terms of what she has to share. So one of the things that she has to share with us is that she's done some study in the levels of power, and according to Caroline, there are actually 3 levels of power. The first level of power is tribal power. That is the power of the groups around us to which we belong. The second level of power is individual power. This is the power we use when we declare our independence from the tribe. And the third level of power is symbolic power. Now, symbolic power is a little difficult to understand because of our perception of symbols. So what I've done is I've interpreted her symbolic power as spiritual power. Now, all these levels of power are important, and they're something that we all go through in our journey. So let's examine those. Tribal power is the power that our tribes exert over us, and what I mean by tribe is our families, our groups, our circles of friends, our organizations that we belong to. These tribes dictate a certain set of unwritten codes of behavior. So we must follow those codes of behavior in order to be accepted by our tribes. Now, at some point, however, some of us will break away from the tribal control and begin to declare our own individuality. We begin to see things differently. The established prejudices and judgments of the tribe are no longer in sync with what we see in our own way of thinking. We begin to see the world in different ways. We begin to see people in different ways. As a result, we no longer fit in with the tribe. Now, this divergence from the accepted norm may cause us to lose friends. We could lose our jobs, we could lose our positions, we could become outsiders very quickly. Where we were once part of the tribe, where we were once an honored member, now we're an outsider. You know, we often see this illustrated, this sequence illustrated in movies, where you've got the honored member of a tribe who begins to see things differently from the rest of the people around him and or her, and begin to voice those opinions, begins to question what the tribe is doing, and then they become outcast. So there's movie after movie after movie that really shows that sequence happening. So it's a necessary occurrence, actually, what's going on when we choose to follow our own spiritual path. It's all part of the process. The things we lose, you must understand, is that they will be replaced later on. But when you do this, when you begin on the spiritual path, there's some things you got to face. There's regret and there's shame. Those who remain with the tribe, who are your friends, they try to bring you back, and they begin to load you down with a guilt trip. You know, you've got to come back. What are you doing? Why have you done this to us? The guilt and the shame and the regret can become anchors that hold you down, that slow your progress to your higher calling. So we can only find release from those chains through forgiveness. Through forgiveness. Now we must forgive those who oppose us, one, because we love them, but two, because their anger and confusion and their scorn and then they're pushing us away are only natural reactions. And Caroline May says that forgiveness is the most selfish act that we can commit. I thought that was interesting, the most selfish act we can commit, because it frees us from the damage that negative feelings can bring to us. So we must understand that they are not seeing why we do what we do, but it's not their fault. We must forgive them and let them go. We must also forgive ourselves. That is a part of the process that is very important. We must forgive ourselves, because stepping away from the tribe causes internal pain. There's always some form of loss. We may find ourselves stripped of much that we held dear, we held of value, and it's important to understand that our new way of being, what we lost will be replaced by something. But the journey must be completed before we get there. And in expressing our individual power, we learn new ways of being and seeing and expressing, ways that don't fit with the tribe. So as we continue with our journey of new understanding, we begin to rise to what Carolyn Mays calls the symbolic power. As I told you, I call it spiritual power. At the level of symbolic power, we become sensitized and more aware of the work of infinite intelligence in our lives. We begin to see how we're being guided. We begin to become aware of the signs and the symbols that show us the way. Like markings on the tree when you travel through the woods to get to a hidden spot. We become aware of the synchronicities, which are coincidences that are not really coincidences. We become aware of situations, conversations, hidden messages. We begin to learn to trust that infinite intelligence is always with us. We begin to release the fear that was part of being a tribe, because the judgments of the tribe made people enemies. The judgments of the tribe made things that we were told we should be afraid of, and we found out actually they weren't something we should be afraid of. We found out that there was something that was hidden from us because of what the tribe had to say. So what happened was we ended up with these shackles that are holding us down, shackles that are preventing us from rising to our highest expression as spiritual warriors. So how do you accomplish this act of forgiving yourself? Because that's what it takes. Forgive yourself, to release yourself from the shackles that are holding you back so that you can rise. Okay, so first of all, here's what we're going to do. We're going to get into a comfortable position. Get into a position where you can relax and allow your body to let go of its job of trying to keep you safe. So find a nice, quiet, safe spot. And then, after you've relaxed, remind yourself of the serenity prayer. Remember the serenity prayer? Give me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. What this does is this sets your mind up to approach the issue with some emotional detachment. Emotional detachment is critical because if you get caught up in the emotion of the memory, because we're going to go back over memories, it puts you right back in the moment of pain, and it locks you further into the emotion of the past. And we need to begin to let go of the past. So we're relaxed, we're serene, and let's begin to look back. One of the ways you can do that is to imagine yourself rising above a railroad track, and that railroad track is actually the timeline of your life. And as you look back one way, you can see the experiences of your life. And as you look the other way, it's a little cloudy because that's the future, and so it's not that well defined. So as you look back over your life, go back as far as you can, looking at those places where there's some intense energy, because that's where your energy is being locked up. Your energy is being locked up in the past because you're emotionally still tied to those events. And go to one of those events and look at it and watch it as an observer, not as a participant, as an observer. You are now a third person. You are now outside of that event. And watch what is happening. Watch it going through the steps and the pain that it brought about. But you're not feeling the pain now because you are an observer, detached from it. And as you watch it, you can begin to analyze what's going on and see where everybody was miscommunicating, where everybody was upset over something that maybe they didn't need to be upset about. Or there was pain. There's always pain. But in that pain, you're now separated from it. You are now separated, detached from it. And so it is no longer your pain. As you watch what is happening, it is no longer your pain. And you can begin to understand better what happened, and therefore able to let it go. Let it go. Let it go. Just like watching a movie. Let it go until the energy drains from it, until it is no longer hot with anger and jealousy or whatever. It just let it go and allow the energy to drain from it. And that energy returns to you. It's yours to possess again and yours to have now in the present rather than locked up in the future. And then what you do after you've done that separating of yourself from the event, as you continue to maintain your detachment, let it go and then begin the process of forgiving yourself. Forgiving yourself with the statement, I forgive myself. I forgive myself. I know that I was doing the best I could at the time, and I forgive myself. I let myself off the hook because I have learned that the lesson that was, because I have learned the lesson that was there, and I now know better. I forgive myself. I forgive myself. And I now accept the peace that passes understanding because I know that I am loved and protected and forgiven by infinite intelligence expressing in me as me. I am forgiven. I am forgiven. And you see, by forgiving yourself, you give yourself the power and the strength to forgive others because you are now know that their actions do not diminish you. Forgiving yourself returns you to a state of wholeness that only you can diminish. Only you. Remember what Eleanor Roosevelt said, no one can make you feel inferior without your consent. And you no longer give consent to anyone, not even yourself. Make sense? Let us close with prayer. Thank you, Infinite Intelligence, for bringing all of us together in this life so that we may become spiritual warriors and join in the work we have come here to do. Thank you, Infinite Intelligence, for bringing us into the space of awareness and a deeper understanding of ourselves and our relationship to life and infinite intelligence. Thank you for showing us who we really are. We open our minds and hearts to the truth of our being. We are the children of God. We are individualized expressions of infinite intelligence. And because we are part of the greater whole, we're beginning to understand our value to the continuity of life on this planet. And as we become channels of your power, infinite intelligence, we can feel your presence within ourselves and within our lives more and more. And we know that as we feel your presence within our lives every day, we will rise because we are no longer cut off from you by being immersed in the darkness of fear, anger, and the pain of unforgiveness. So we are now restoring our connection through the grace of forgiveness, knowing that as we learn to forgive ourselves for the pain that we have caused to ourselves, and as we learn to forgive those who have inflicted pain upon us, our connections will grow stronger and our lives will grow happier and healthier and more prosperous. And for this, we are truly grateful. As above, so below. As within, so without. And so it is. Amen. Thank you. Thank you for watching. Please remember to click on the thumbs up button below the video, and if you haven't already done so, please choose to subscribe. I would love to hear your thoughts and comments on questions. Just use the chat box on the right, or if this is in replay, use the comment section below the video. Thank you very much for watching. This has been On the Wings of Your Mind, and I am Reverend Andrew Bozeman.